Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Game Informer Show, a weekly podcast covering the video game industry. Join us every Thursday for discussions about the latest gaming news, reviews, and exclusive reveals alongside Game Informer staff and special guests around the industry. We got one of those today. I'm your host, Kyle Hilliard, and I am joined by the person who's usually the host but has a busy day ahead of him. It's Alex Van Aken. What's up, Alex?
Hey, Kyle. Thanks for having me. Yeah. Busy day. I'm going to be on for about half the episode. So you're hosting this week. Very gracious of you to do so.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But I'm glad to be here.
Charles Harte is also with us. What's up, Charles?
Hello. On the soundtrack, I said the only word I know that rhymes with Charles is snarls. This is not true. The other word is yarls.
And could you use yarls in a sentence, please?
In Skyrim, there are many jarls that govern the towns around the map.
Oh, damn it. I've tried to put you on the spot, and you won. We're also joined by that special guest I referenced earlier, Sarah Thwaites. What's up, Sarah?
Hello. Thanks for having me. This is like my second time, but first in video. So I got dressed up.
Is it really?
Yeah, literally.
Wow.
I was so grateful last time because I was like, I don't want to be on camera. But now I'm just like a movie star, so here we are.
Yeah,
yes.
You're really putting us all to shame. You look great, and like the rest of us are like t-shirt, hat, cardigan.
I put on this cardigan.
I think the cardigan. I was gonna say the cardigan's like a look. That's
right.
Thank you.
But yeah, we got a bunch of random stuff to talk about because like there's a lot. I feel like it's not fair to say like little games because we are talking about some big games. But I've played like a number of like demos for games I really like, and then we don't really have any big, huge games that like we've been looking forward to. Like we'll be talking about Rebirth soon. But we've got things like Helldivers, Lysfanga, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, Tomb Raider Remastered came out yesterday. If you're listening to this podcast, the day it came out, and a bunch of other little things. And I think we dive right into it. We put our special guest on the spot, and we hear about Helldivers 2 because I'm curious about sort of the reception. I had a friend text me the other day who was like, "Hey, should I play Helldivers?" And I was just like, I don't know. I haven't touched it. I have no idea. But Sarah, you are reviewing it for Game Informer, and you're not done. Your review, I even at the time of sort of posting this episode, I don't think the review will be on the site, so don't feel like you need to commit to a score or anything like that. But please tell us, how is Helldivers? Are you enjoying it so far?
I was like, when I didn't really play the first one when it came out, and I was like, oh, that looks great for me, and I think I'd enjoy it. But this has been like, what a surprise. I was so shocked. It's like so much fun. I'm currently playing with my partner, which is like revealed so many cracks that we probably need to solve in our communication. I found this out that either I'm the laziest person on earth. I'm like, you go, and like, I'm just going to hang back here. I'm going to go like find loot and do whatever I want and just like be a menace. Or alternatively, I'm like drill sergeant, like get behind me, reload, like get over there, this way, that way. And it's like, and it's one or the other. And I don't think either is acceptable in a relationship.
Well, so the first game was more of like an isometric, right? Wasn't it? And then this one's now like a full co-op third-person shooter. I really have not looked. The things that have like floated to the surface for me are people sharing like clips of calling down missile strikes. And that's kind of like all I know about the game is that you can call down missile strikes
using D-pad combos. By the way.
This is like, I think, the best part of the whole game. And I saw someone tweet about being like, get a dance mat involved in this, like, right now.
Yeah.
How cool would it be? They're called, like, your stratagems. And they're, like, these kind of, like, special, like, offensive and defensive, like, things you can deploy, essentially, as you play. But it's, like, a D-pad, like, up, down, left, right kind of thing to get either to call down, like, friends or ammunition or, like, missiles from your ship. And it's, like, such a clever way to be so, like, strangely complicated, but not at all complicated at the same time.
Are you memorizing combos?
Yeah, you have to. Well, only the really important ones are worth. Well, that's not true at all. I'm lying. You definitely have to memorize combos. Okay. Trying to make it sound appealing. It's like
they're on the screen for you always.
Yes, yeah.
But if you want to do it quickly, which in many times you want to, then it's well worth memorizing them.
At least the basic ones that you like love for sure. It's so
Yeah.
fun though. I think it really disarms you when you get into it, because it seems like it almost is this very intense, like, you're gonna go get him and you gotta like save the day and like you're a team, and then you're just like out there like doot 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 at the same time, and it's like it makes it so fun and silly and approachable whilst also being like so intense. Well, it depends if your teammates are getting along. It's maybe not as intense, but
Is there like a campaign, like a story with a beginning, middle, and end, or is it mostly you're just doing runs with friends?
It's
so yeah. I might let Val. It's hard to
I don't
explain.
remember now, Sarah. You have to help me remember. I don't remember. I played the first Helldivers, but it's been so long, so I don't remember if it's a similar structure to the original. But in Helldivers 2, think of almost like Star Wars Battlefront's Galactic Conquest map, where you're looking at a star system and there are like multiple battlefronts, for lack of a better word, amongst the stars, and like you're fighting for control over planets. It's like that. So it takes place. You load into your ship, and that's the place where you can like buy new stratagems with currency that you've like that with like whatever the resource is. I don't remember what it is exactly, but
there's a few different ones to like,
yeah, and you get them by just doing missions and doing side activities in the missions, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And that's where you can buy new stratagems. You can unlock new armor and equipment and guns, and that's also where you like select your missions and invite your friends, and then you all load in together from your ship. But yeah, you're kind of looking at the star map, and it's like a shared. It's a shared universe in a way. Like you could, like you
can see, like
you
how
can
many
see
people
like,
are going.
Yeah. It tells you like 45,000 people are online right now, and here are like your global goals. Like the player base itself has goals that you work together to complete. So it's like, if you liberate this planet this week, you're gonna get these rewards. Mm-hmm. And I even saw like the player base liberated. They accomplished something. I don't know if they liberated a new planet or what, like fully liberated it. But on Twitter, the devs were talking about you've now unlocked a new planet. Yeah. And so now everybody can play new missions.
So everyone's
on that planet
working
together.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's sick.
It's like really fun because when you complete a mission on the planet that you're like liberating, it'll tell you the percentage that you've liberated. So like even though it's 1%, you're like, hell yeah. Especially when you're on like maybe it's like 72, and when you get it below 70, you think like that's amazing.
Cool.
Like you feel it's kind of funny. It's like it's a multiplayer with everyone, but you don't interact with everyone. It's kind of it's just the common goal does make it feel like really really fun. As much as it's like incredibly fun as a multiplayer with your friend group, and like. It's like perfect. It kind of reminded me of like the kind of sensation I got playing Left 4 Dead 2, which I know is like a massive thing to say.
Yeah.
But like my friends and I still play Left 4 Dead 2 frequently.
Yeah, because you have good taste.
Thank you.
Great
but
game.
I think it's the same kind of like it feels really collaborative in a similar way where you all have to be on the same page and that kind of thing. But then with that like otherworldly thing where everyone's working together, it just creates this really fun dynamic where you do feel like a bit of a community. And yeah, I just think that's like it was so clever. It seems so like obvious when when you play it, but it is really, really clever.
I love that because like my thing with multiplayer in general is like I just get bored really quickly of doing the same thing over and over, right? And it's like I just am like, all right, I get it, and then I'm kind of out, which is just like a matter of taste. I know that's not the case for most people. Like they love the competition of like perfecting that sort of thing over and over, you know, but it's just that just doesn't appeal to me. But like the idea that like everything you're doing is working towards a larger goal across the whole game is I really like that a lot, because like Metal Gear Solid 5 had that thing where there was a reward for like everyone dismantling every nuclear weapon in the game, which is like I always liked that theoretically, but I was like it's just too big an ask. Like you can't get every person who's played Metal Gear Solid 5 on the same page, because there's like tons of players like me who just stopped playing, who I don't even know if I probably am the problem with Metal Gear Solid 5, you know, for all I know. That's really cool. I did not know about that. That actually like raises my eyebrow. It makes me kind of be like, do I need to be part of the resistance and like help everything? Do I need to do my part, Starship Troopers style?
It feels so much like that. And it's just like so, I don't know, like the humor is also like really attractive. It's just so like silly. Like it is just like very Starship Troopers, like nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, makes too much sense.
Right.
Yeah, it's like certainly like a parody of like nationalism and that whole kind of thing. And it's like, you know, blind faith in your country, in this case in your planet, and then like they just don't give a shit about you. I'll write that timestamp down.
Yes. Well, actually, I guess I should write it down. I'm the one hosting this.
It also, it literally also, that's silly. It has friendly fire as well, which is like funny because the first, like first mission, right? We dropped, me and John are dropping. And we go, phew, I'm like, this is going to be so fun. And he's like, pull up your map. And I shot him in the back of the head because I like wasn't paying attention. And I was like, okay. Okay, gotta remember that. And then it's like so many times like we were fighting aliens and it was really crowded. And I like punched him to death, which was like stupid. And I had to like, it was just, and it's like those things that like really remind you. It's like, it's so silly. So then you don't have to take it so seriously if you don't want to. And you can just have fun and play with people that might not be like definitely into this style of game, which I really, really enjoy.
One of my favorite weapons in the game is it's the recoilless rifle, and it's like this bazooka that you can. The cool part is like there's a backpack that comes with it. Like you can have the bazooka, and then you have a backpack with like a bunch of missiles on you, and so if you're using it by yourself, and you really need to use it later on in the game, like in the harder levels, because there are like giant robots and or like aliens that are essentially like tanks, and so this is one of those anti-tank weapons. And so if you're using it by yourself, it takes forever to reload each missile, and you could totally do it. Or you can give the backpack to a friend, they equip it, and then if they walk up to the side while you're holding the weapon, like Jesse had I was playing with Jesse Vitelli, friend of the show. He had the rifle and I had the backpack on, and so I was pressing A and holding A, and so whenever he shot, my character would reload the weapon for him, and we were just like walking together. Like it was like my character was stuck on follow on him. Like it was all I was like, I had agency, right? But like he was like guiding us, and when he walked forward, my character walked forward, and I was literally just holding a button, and like it was hilarious because we're just like Beavis and Butthead with this recoilless rifle. And meanwhile, we're getting yelled at by another friend of the show, Sean Thomas from Square, and he was like, "I really need your help right now." And we're like, "They're flanking us. We're doing this.
We're having a cute moment."
And he's like, "They're literally not flanking you. I'm looking at both of you, and you're literally just laughing and walking around because like." You can kind of crab walk together, like if one person crouches while the other person, you know, holds onto their gun. You just both kind of do this awkward crouch walk thing. It's just a silly game, but like there's really fun mechanics like that really they do a great job of taking something that another game might automate through an animation or like a single button press and make it more involved, like the
combo
stratagems.
Oh, stratagems,
Stratagems. Like in another game, like you just like you press the bumper and then you press a button and then you aim it and you're good, right? And this, for instance, let's say you want to call down like a special item. Okay, well I'm holding the shoulder button now. Let me do the button combo. Then that activates the ability for me. I throw it on the ground. It shoots down in like this really cinematic and stylish fashion. Then it raises up. The pod opens up and I can grab my thing, right? Instead of just like, you know, making it largely like it just kind of like takes everything over the top in a really fun way. Yeah.
And
it's honestly so fun.
And moment to moment, I mean, it's like a wave-based shooter, right? You're like fighting with like bug aliens, right? Is that kind of
the map has like when you land, you've got like areas that are like more populated with enemy types, and it kind of like depends on where you gravitate. Like you try to land, well, I mean, I try to land away from, you can land wherever you want really, but I try to land away from them. And then you can also go around and like loot, like you have an objective and you can do the objective and leave, but you like benefit way more from kind of like spending more time there. But then you're more likely to just like find enemies as they like are around, and they come out of like these holes in the ground you can throw grenades down to like.
It's like emergence holes from Gears.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you have to throw the grenade in there, just like Gears, to blow up the emergence hole. It's great.
But they kind of just they appear sort of everywhere, and you just fight them like that. I don't think it feels so like calculated as waves, even though it might mechanically be. You just kind of it's so random sometimes.
Okay.
That like you can find yourself in like any type of situation, no matter how prepared you are or where you are on the map, you might just like get bombarded, which is fun.
Yeah. And it seems like some of them roam together in packs. Like you can just like, I remember like looking at the landscape and seeing like bugs crawling together in the distance. And then one of the bigger ones noticed me, and then all of them just start coming towards me. And I'm just like, oh no, like, and book it. It feels like very organic in that way.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Maybe one last question, which I hesitate to even dive into much, because often when I hear complaints about microtransactions and like pay to win things, usually I read them less as like a complaint about a specific game as much as they are complaints about the concept of microtransactions, which I also dislike. But Helldivers seems to be like the latest scapegoat for it. Is it overbearing? Is it really a problem, or is it kind of like the typical the same as every other game that features them?
It's sort of hard to say. I think it does play like a big part in it.
Okay.
To a degree, but it's sort of like I'm sort of delving into that, and I think in the review I'll probably go more in depth about like how that system works in the game, kind of thing, because it's sort of one of those that like you have to investigate to sort of really know fully. I haven't really noticed it too much as like an impact on how I'm playing, but I think it definitely could have the capacity to, and especially later down the line, like how it looks maybe in like a year from now, what then will be the case and things like that. So I definitely think in the review I'll delve into that deeper. I think right now I don't. I mean, it's like I dare not say anything because I just don't know.
Yeah, it's also hard because the codes we got for the game came with all the like battle passes. So yeah, you definitely have to investigate to see what comes free and what comes with this battle pass, because there's two different battle passes in the game, or I don't even know if I should call them that.
Well,
two different tracks.
I mean, we don't have to speak to it too much if we're not sure.
We're not sure.
Complaint
but that is an element that plays into it.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've heard pay to win, right? And it's like, I don't know what that means in context of this game, and I don't know if you guys had any insight. And if you don't,
I think maybe
that's totally fine. I don't want you to make any assumptions about it.
I would push back on that and maybe say pay to win in a different way than you can already win in. Like, I don't think it's making anybody OP. And keep in mind, it's a co-op game, right?
Right.
Yeah.
There's no PvP. But I feel just as powerful using the free stuff that you get at level 1. And like, if I'm using it correctly, right? Yeah. And like the stratagems and all of that, that's all there for all players. So, like, that's what you're grinding for to get more of. And, like, there are a couple weapons tied to, like, these other two tracks that appear to be tied to like some sort of premium pay, but like I wouldn't say pay to win. I'd just say like
maybe pay to make it easier for yourself.
Pay for cosmetics and maybe get a weapon or two, but like those weapons I've kind of switched off of anyways, and I'm going back to the ones that I unlocked from just playing the game.
Okay.
So yeah, it's weird. We'll have to both Sarah for the review and then I'm gonna be playing as well, and if anything crops up that's like, hey, watch out for this.
Yeah, like red flag.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye out for that. But.
So I mean, my perception, hearing from both of you, no final review yet from either of you guys, but positive, good time so far, right?
I think if you're playing with friends, especially, I think it's like the most fun when you're playing with people you know.
I think it's pretty challenging by yourself, but I mean, you can matchmake with other people, and there's a cool SOS option where if you're having trouble in your game, you can throw down an SOS item. It's a stratagem, and it will call other players can come in and help you, almost like a Dark Souls, like ringing the bell or whatever it was.
Okay,
but yeah, it's cool. I really like it. Before this last weekend, I had zero interest in this game. And then it kind of just consumed my weekend. I spent I think I played like 7 hours since I bought it or since I downloaded it like Friday night.
Wait, this is taken away from Metal Gear Solid franchise?
It has. It has. I know. I am back on Metal. I started Metal Gear Solid 2 up last night again.
Okay, where are you?
So I'm back.
It's hard to derail.
I just beat what's her name?
The Russian
Olga.
woman?
Olga.
Fortune. No, wait, not Olga. Okay, you're still on the tanker.
Yeah, I'm on the tanker still.
Oh. You haven't even started, man.
My playtime says 1 hour.
Okay. Look, I'm just glad you're playing. I'm not trying to
Yeah.
to make you feel bad. Alex. Please.
I
Charles,
have a Helldivers 2 question real quick.
Yeah.
Has anyone made an edit yet where you go to put in those like codes, but when you do the directions, it's like the ocarina sounds from Ocarina of Time?
No, you should do that.
You should do that. Yeah.
I'm gonna do that now. I just want to make sure I wasn't copying anyone.
I haven't
No.
seen it like
Do it
on
quick.
Twitter or anything.
Okay, done.
That's such a good idea.
Continue with the show.
Gosh, I wonder if any even do match up. That would be really funny if any of them match up, you know.
That would be wild.
Alex, before you leave us, you want to tell us a little bit about Lysfanga? Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, I'm not sure how to pronounce it yet.
Okay.
I've been calling it Lysfanga, but I think it might be Lysfanga. Like, it might be, I think white people might call it Lysfanga, but I don't think that's how you properly pronounce it, if I'm being honest.
Well,
and I am
Lysfanga
interested.
is gonna be
I am
the white
interested to know how you
pronunciation, I
do
think.
because I like to pronounce it correctly.
Right.
But I haven't heard it said in the game yet. But it is a tactical hack and slash game. It is being published by Spotlight by Quantic Dream, which is that new indie focused Quantic Dream effort. It's developed by Sandor Studio. But yeah, Lysfanga, the Time Shift Warrior, it's out now. It just came out today, the day we're recording this, February 13th. It's cool. I'm not super far in, but this is one of those games that really caught my eye at Summer Game Fest. What was it, last year? And I played it and it really captured me there, and I really liked it. I had a really positive magazine preview for it as well, I believe. And yeah, from what I played of the final release, it's more of what I liked. So it's similar to, I think I've described it on the show in the past. If you remember like Super Time Force back in the day, where like you had multiple versions of yourself to like take down enemies, it is less over the top than Super Time Force was. Like you can have, instead of like 50 versions of yourself, you're talking about like a handful, right? But you're exploring these ancient cities. The game starts in this place called Mayura, and you're playing a protagonist named Aime, and she gets this power from a goddess that allows her to make remnants of herself. And you are fighting these monsters in this ancient city, and effectively you have a certain amount of time to defeat all of the enemies in the arena, right? And you can't do that with just one version of yourself. So you have to rely on multiple versions of yourself, and that you can trigger manually, or after a certain amount of time, the game will just zip you back to the start of the arena as a new version of yourself. And then you'll see out old versions of yourself or other versions of your remnants playing out the actions you just did on screen mere moments ago. And now your new version of yourself, you can go and either kill other enemies. Maybe you need to flip a door switch to allow the next iteration of your remnant to be able to pass through to kill a person. And so they're like as much of a hack and slash as it is. It's also a puzzle game, right? And there are like bonus reward, like there are like you get like bonus ratings for doing it quicker, or and so it's like you're kind of like not only are you playing against the game and beating the game, but after you beat an arena, you can retry it if you want to like do it quicker. And that's really, really fun. I was actually even doing that at Summer Game Fest. I think I saw less of the game than maybe I should have, because I was like, I have to get it quicker.
Right.
And so that's like really satisfying if you like those sorts of games. Again, I'm pretty early, but I think this game is pretty cool. I think it's right now. I was looking it up on Steam. I believe it's on sale right now for $19.99. I'm gonna double check that right now, because I don't want to get that wrong.
So it is out then?
It's out. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
People
cool.
can go and grab it.
I have it
So-
up, Alex. It is, yeah.
Yeah. So it's 20% off right now, making it $19.99. After the launch promo ends, it'll be $24.99. But yeah, I've really enjoyed the game. It's got a cool aesthetic, and just like very colorful, and you've got like these ornate ancient cities. Kind of reminds me a bit of Prince of Persia's art direction a little bit, with like the very cool saturated colors. Granted, this is like an isometric top down, but
It's funny because Lost Crown actually has puzzles like that. Yeah, deep
Really?
in the game where you have to have different versions of yourself activating.
Okay,
switches
so
and that kind of
yeah.
thing. Yeah, it's funny.
yeah, they are more alike maybe than not. But yeah, I've really enjoyed what I've played so far.
Nice.
I was provided a code by PR, so I do want to call that out. But yeah, so far I'm. This is I think this is going to be one of those games that like I need to try it out on Steam Deck because it's definitely one of those games where it's like, okay, I'm going to do a few arenas. I've got 20 minutes to kill. Let me progress the story. Eventually it sounds like you're going to get to go to more cities than the one I'm in. And it's all, you kind of like arena combat, running around and exploring after that, get to a new arena. And like before you fight, you can kind of like pan over the arena and like have this like tactical view of it before you like plan out your route. But as you go, it obviously gets more complicated, and finishing some of those complicated runs where you're like, some enemies have shields, right? And you have to like have one version of yourself tanking their aggro so that they're facing that direction, and a past version of yourself going around and backstabbing them to kill them. There's like really cool interactions like that that this game does really well, and really makes you feel smart, and also it just like feels good to play. Some of the abilities that you have on top of just like your normal hack and slash mechanics. It's a cool game. I like it a lot.
Cool.
And did you say, is it on Steam Deck? Did you say?
I'm
Is it, like,
going to double
verified,
check
or-
right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to.
Does it feel like it could be a Steam Deck game? Because that's sometimes what it comes down to, right? It's like,
It does. It
Okay.
absolutely feels like a Steam Deck game.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm like
looking
so
right
convinced.
now.
I'm always like, that sounds interesting, and someone's like, it's deck verified. I'm like, it's being bought.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking right now. I wish they made it more prevalent.
Well, I mean, you play with a controller, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
not like crazy graphically intensive. Right?
No. All signs point to this being Steam Deck compatible.
Okay.
Cool. I forget how to. Yeah, it's not coming up for me, but I'm pretty sure if it's not, it's going to be soon. Like this is
Yeah.
going to be a very good Steam Deck game if it's available. So
Nice.
yeah, that's Lysfanga. And then I have also been playing the new Apex season. Just launched before we started podcasting. So I've played it for about an hour. And I only played the new mode. Like one of the big modes we've been talking about in our cover story is Straight Shot. And it's the exact same rule set as the main Battle Royale game, but it's a smaller version of the map. Like the map doesn't start out full. And it drops you in with another team to a predetermined location. All the weapons already have attachments on them, and it's 10 teams instead of 20. So it's just like a really faster paced version of the BR, and it feels so good. And like that's got like the new Legend upgrade system in it for you to try out and all of that. And I love it so far. It feels really good. A lot of characters. I'm finding myself switching and playing characters that I never play because of this new Legend upgrade system, because they're kind of like mid-game perks that you unlock. That's probably the easiest way to talk about it. And they're unlocked via doing either getting kills or completing class actions, reviving teammates, that kind of thing. Just generally helping your team will get you points. And as you go, you level up. We've talked about it on the show recently already, but that system in like execution feels really good in the live game. And yeah, it's got me playing characters I normally don't play because I want to try out their perks because they're pretty substantial. Like Lifeline has like a self revive now. Octane, who's he was the first add-on legend to the game.
Is he Legs guy?
Legs guy, yeah, from Titanfall.
Okay.
He now can like throw down an extra jump pad. which is this old. It's cool. I'm liking it a lot.
Is there anyone you didn't like before? I'm asking this as someone that like doesn't play Apex at all, so you're probably gonna give an answer and I won't even know what to do with it. But are there any characters you didn't like prior and now like their upgrades are like, oh, I'm really into this guy now?
Didn't like as strong, but
Sure.
but I would say Lifeline.
Okay.
She's somebody I never really play, and she has like her final perk set that you choose one of each. It's the self revive, or she can call down a legendary weapon crate, and get like the red tier weapons. So it's like she's always been viable in the meta of Apex, especially in the pro scene. But for me personally, I never played her all that much, and now it seems like very compelling to play her.
Nice.
I think the little I have played, I think I played as Lifeline because she could heal people, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm always like, I'm not gonna kill anyone, man. But if I can heal someone a little bit, then that's my part. So
Yeah, she's great.
if I play, I'll check out Lifeline again.
Yeah, and hit me up if you play.
Yes,
I
definitely.
would love to shepherd you through.
Odds are low, but if I do, it'll be with you.
Okay. Fair.
We got to be honest here on the Game Informer Show.
Yeah.
Podcast, you know?
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, that's Apex for you. It's good.
Yeah, you snuck that right in there. That was stealthy. That Metal Gear Solid is rubbing off on you.
Yeah, I know.
Kyle, are you gonna bring up Metal Gear Solid after every game?
We've unlocked the floodgates.
Yeah. Charles,
I have
you're
started
playing
it
right now,
also.
right?
Yeah, we haven't talked about it at all.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll say I want to hear this.
Well, there's not much.
Oh, I'm throwing off the show. We're throwing off the show. Kyle, you're the one who started talking about Metal Gear, all right?
I'm like,
this is your
Kyle.
fault.
I'm almost certain the run of show just said Metal Gear the whole time.
Yeah.
That's all I got in the email.
Well, yeah. So Alex, you finished 1. You're moving on to Charles. You're playing 1, right? So my plan is once Charles finishes 1, we're gonna do a very timely spoiled episode of the original Metal Gear Solid.
So timely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll even play through it again. We'll see. But yeah, Alex, you need to get out of here, right?
I do. Yeah, I've got to go pick up my car.
Cool. Well, have fun.
Yeah, fun stuff.
Thanks.
I'll try. It'll be nice to have a car again.
Cool. Well, it's good to hear from you, and I'm sure we'll hear from you next week again, probably, right?
Yeah, of course.
All right.
I'll be here.
See ya.
Bye.
Alex is gone. We got rid of him.
Finally.
So now begins the complain about Alex segment of the show. No, Alex is great. We love him. He had to leave because he's busy. We're all busy. Why do you think Marcus isn't here today? He busy. He's
is our
writing a
job.
cover story. Anyway, Charles, I want to hear about Mario versus Donkey Kong because I think I might have to play this game. I want to hear your final review thoughts because we talked about it in a preview capacity a week or two ago, but now now you can share your thoughts on the entire experience and even assign it a number if you feel so bold.
I mean, I think I have to, job wise.
Right? Yeah.
Legally speaking, the contract says.
If I feel so bold as to do what my job description says. I gave it an 8. Gave it an 8 out of 10.
Cool.
I enjoy this game. Sarah, did you ever play the original Mario vs. Donkey Kong?
No,
On the
I want.
GBA?
No, I never had. Well, when I was a kid, I didn't have a GBA because I wasn't cool enough. But I want to play the new
Me
one.
neither.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've talked about this on the GI Show and All Things Nintendo, so I'll try not to retread my steps so much. But this was very much a game I'd seen screenshots of, and I was like, I'm sure it's fine. You know, I'm sure people like this game. It's not particularly pretty, and I really
Hold on, are you talking about
underestimated
the original Game Boy Advance version or
the original
Okay,
one.
okay.
Sorry, yes. I had never really been that interested in this series because I was like, whatever it is, it doesn't really jump out to me. So when I started playing this game, I was like, oh, I am surprised by how much I like this, and how much the like old level design really holds up when you modernize it. And I was thinking about, I was like, why am I not crazy about this game? Because I feel like I've only had positive things to say, but it didn't feel like it was like a really high end of the review. And I think it is like straightforward. Like it is essentially what I thought it was. It's a pretty simple puzzler game. I just think it's like that core is very good. And I think what I said is in the review, to quote myself, the great thinker Charles Harte, it is elegant in its simplicity, which is like what you look for in a Mario game specifically.
Yeah.
Like Mario is very good at like
Nintendo's good at that across the board.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where it's like, this is not hard, this is not complicated, but they have still managed to make it very fun and engaging. And I feel like that's how I feel about Mario versus Donkey Kong. And I think I beat the first 8 worlds in like 4 hours. That was pretty quick. And then once you beat the 8 main worlds, there's plus worlds, which I kind of like saw on like the descriptions of the game. It's like, oh, and then there's also plus worlds that you can do. I'm like, oh, that seems fun. It's just 8 more worlds. It's just 8 more harder worlds. So there's really 16 worlds. And that total took me, I'd say like 8 or 9 hours to do. But yeah, it's like cool. I guess I'll say what the game is. Side-scrolling puzzle platformer. So you play as Mario. You're chasing Donkey Kong. He stole a bunch of toys from the mini Mario factory. And in the first half of the level, he goes through a locked door. So you got to carry a key to that door. And in the second half, you got to find the mini Mario who's in like a capsule. And there's a lot of like cool jumps you can do. That was one of the things I really enjoyed, is you can be really creative of like doing triple jumps to skip a part of the level that you thought you had to do. Or there's like ropes. I think is it Donkey Kong Jr.? Is that a game? Is Donkey Kong 2 starring Donkey Kong Jr.? I'm saying this. I know there's a little
I'm just
gorilla
laughing at
that
the phrase
climbs
Donkey
on the
Kong Jr.
vines.
Is that a game? I think that's a funny phrase. Yeah,
Like I'm in a pitch
It was
meeting.
the sequel to Donkey Kong. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
They exist, the junior version.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're for real. I've seen them.
And I have heard, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Donkey Kong Jr. grows up to be Donkey Kong that's in like the Donkey Kong Country series, and Cranky Kong is the original Donkey Kong.
I don't know the Donkey Kong family tree personally.
Yeah.
I've not like been keeping up with that, but it sounds right. You're convincing me.
I think
None of this is
think that's-
important to Mario versus Donkey Kong.
Because I mean, because Cranky does talk a lot about like back in my day, like kind of stuff, and that's the implication. But I mean, it's one of those things you just can't think about it too much, or your head's gonna hurt. And
Yeah.
there aren't
Yeah.
answers. You know.
The point is, it's all throwbacks to those like original like arcade games
Right.
Yeah.
of just the mechanics and stuff. One thing that they did change, and I didn't really realize it until today when I was rewatching old cutscenes from the game, Mario had a mouth in the original version of this game. He was so mean to Donkey Kong, and it's so funny.
Hang on, can I Google this? I don't even know.
Please.
What do you mean?
I actually have a link ready. I sent it to the Slack this morning because I just thought it was so funny.
Oh. I actually think
on.
I am. Well,
I just
actually,
can't believe
I'm not. I'm
Googling
not really
Mario
set up
now.
to play the audio from it. I don't think.
I just for Sarah, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know.
No, I will. I'm frantically googling Mario mouth, which is just like the most stupid thing I've ever put to Google. Mario mouth, please.
All I'm saying, he's really mean. He calls Donkey Kong a monkey. There's a bunch of like rapid Italian gibberish. There's a part like after you beat like boss battle Donkey Kong, and he goes to empty his burlap sack which had all the toys in it, and it's empty now because you've been collecting them throughout all the game. So Mario points at him and laughs, and then all the toys you rescue show up and point at him and laugh, and then a bunch of toads show up and point at him and laugh, and it's like, no wonder Donkey Kong is lashing out and raiding all these factories and stuff. He's being severely mistreated by all these people. But in this game, none of that happens. Mario's a much more reasonable character.
Wait.
He's not pointing and laughing.
So that's cut out from the original. They don't have that stuff anymore. Is what you're saying?
In the remake, yeah, it's not a 1-to-1.
That's something that I loved about the Mario RPG remake last year. Is that there's like a couple of occasions where you get a choice to respond to somebody, and there is an option where Mario can be a total jerk. Like there was like this kid who's like jumping this toad, and he's like, "I'm gonna be as strong as you one day, Mario," and you can respond like, "Yeah, get real, kid." Like you can be like a total jerk, and I appreciated so much playing Mario RPG that they kept all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm a little disappointed that they sort of sanded off Mario's edges for the remake here.
They really did, and it also like, it got to the point where I was like, the plot doesn't matter. It's not important. But watching it, I was like, man, Donkey Kong's really just doing a lot of stuff kind of out of nowhere. It's kind of weird that there was one sword that didn't have the toy that he wanted, so he stole all of them from the factory and then went on a rampage.
That's a real Wario
the original one,
reaction, by the way. That's like
Yeah.
literally the plot of WarioWare, the first one, I think.
But in this one, it's like he steals a bunch of toys, and Mario's like, "What are you doing? You're terrible! No, you stupid monkey!" And then Donkey Kong's like, "I gotta get out of here."
Holy
And now,
Charles, they recently recast Mario.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna have to recast him again after that performance. I think.
That
oh,
was
you
really
think I
good.
should be
Yeah.
Mario?
Mario
Oh
Movie
boy! I was thinking about how he doesn't say the words in this order, but Mario does say "Mamma Mia, here we go again." And now that's a movie. That's a song. That's ABBA. That's weird.
Is that an ABBA reference, maybe? I wonder-
Definitely not, because it's not back to back.
Yeah.
There is a
Oh,
clip
okay.
from the original where he goes, "Here we go again, and they clearly like cut the word "again" and put it on for when you go into the plus worlds, and I
that's
appreciate
funny.
that. Anyways, good game. Recommend. It's a good. It's like a pretty like small package. I didn't mention there's other stuff. I've talked about some of my preview, but there's like a new casual mode I like. There's a co-op mode if you want to play through this with a friend. But yeah, relatively small. It is like a $50 game. So it's not their like full price, but it's also not like $40. But I don't know if that's just inflation and all the $40 games are $50 now. But
Yeah, who
Yeah.
knows? I want to play it. I'm still playing through Lost Crown on Switch, but this is definitely the like in my queue of like seems like just a great little because you could check in and solve a puzzle and check out, right? That seems
Yeah.
great.
a great like while you're watching TV game.
Yeah, love those.
Mario's nice now. Mario's polite these days, so that's there you go.
It'll be nicer to you.
Yeah. If you want to call back to the old days of Mario being a jerk, go back and play Mario RPG from last year. Sorry, this one's not going to do it for you.
I reckon. Do you think it was like the movie makeover, and now he has to be nice?
Yeah, yeah,
Like since the movie, he's like, I gotta revamp my image. I'm a nice guy these days.
yeah.
And I always have been. Look at this remake. I'm so nice in this.
Erasing the past. I'm very nice. See, I've never pointed or laughed at anyone.
That was a different person. That was a different Mario. That was my other brother.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm excited to play because I touched the original. My wife's a big fan of the original. She played it on Game Boy Advance back in the day, but like I never played it, so I want to check it out for sure. So I have a handful of smaller games that I want to talk about, but please don't just make me monologue the whole time. Nobody wants to listen to that. So I'll go quickly. Throw questions my way. I got a handful of games that recently got Steam Next Fest demos, or in the case of Helskate, which I want to talk a little bit about. I believe at the time that this podcast posts, it will have released in early access. Helskate.
Oh, cool.
But first up, I want to talk a little about Tomb Raider Remastered, which came out this week, and it's I played the PlayStation 5 version, and what it is like it's kind of like one of my favorite type of remasters or remakes, I guess you could say, where it is like really sticks to the original. Like this is truly like the original Tomb Raiders, and then they just put like just a glaze of high definition on top of it. Like they upgraded the sort of textures of the levels, they upgraded Laura's character model, but otherwise like it's identical. And you press the start button to switch back and forth between the original version and the new version, which is like something plenty of games have done, but I just always really like it. Like I love with remakes the ability to just sort of click back and see what it used to look like. And they also, the other big upgrade, I guess you could say, is that it has like modern controls. Like you can because like the original Tomb Raiders 1, 2, and 3, which those 3 games are included on the remastered collection, is a very tanky game. Like it almost feels closer to Resident Evil. But you can now there's an option to play it where it feels sort of like a contemporary sort of 3D action game. But like I love Tomb Raider 2013, sort of the reboot of the series. Like to the point where I think it's almost a little underrated. Like that game is so good. mechanically.
That was like one of my like first. That game came out. I'm gonna age. Everyone hates when I say how old I am.
We can't dance around it, Charles. You're gonna make us all.
I was 13 years old.
Oh my god! I was a professional. I was working at Game Informer.
Wait,
yeah.
hang on. What year did it come out? I need to understand.
2013.
Yeah.
And you were 13.
Yeah, I was born in 2000. Just makes the math easy.
Hold on.
I'm not that much older, so I feel kind of okay about that.
Okay.
Actually.
I'm the only
Sorry.
one that feels old. I get to feel old. Charles, that was an M-rated game. What were you thinking?
I was cool.
Oh, okay.
I was a cool kid, maybe. I don't know. No, it was like I played that before I ever played an Uncharted. There's a lot of games that game is like, but that in my mind is like the first one I ever played, so it's like the OG for me. So I have a lot of specific nostalgia for 2013 Tomb Raider. Mm-hmm. So I've always been kind of interested in going back to the other stuff, just out of like, what did this girl used to be doing, you know?
I mean, that's almost 100% where I am as well. Tomb Raider Legend came out on Xbox 360. I'm trying to think of the timeline. And they also properly remade the original Tomb Raider at one point, which it was like, they started from zero and made a new game and called it Tomb Raider. And I played those. But 2013 is like, I mean, I think it's like the best Tomb Raider with a bullet. Like, I think it's so far and above better than all the other Tomb Raider games, even its sequels. But all that being said, like, I'm very happy to have this opportunity now to like go back and see, play the original game somewhat close to how it really was. Like, you can make it look better and it controls better, but you can also play with the original visuals and the original controls. So it's like in the same way that Metal Gear Solid, to bring it back around again, I just won't shut up about Metal Gear Solid. Got that remastered collection.
That's like 10, 12 references today, I think.
That's right.
I can't believe we got through Mario vs. Donkey Kong without
they both begin with.
Because they're like the same story, right?
It's like the same, yeah. Because Revolver Ocelot raids the mini snake factory.
Yeah. And then Mario... then a ninja shows up and cuts off Donkey Kong's hand. That shows up, right? Okay,
yeah, exactly.
Okay. But I loved having the Metal Gear Remastered collection just because it's almost like breathing a sigh of relief. It's like, okay, I have access to these games now and I can play them on a contemporary platform, and that's how I feel about Tomb Raider. And I don't, if I'm being honest, like I'm not gonna play through those games and beat them, but like I really enjoyed booting each of the three up and playing, like a little bit of each and having a better understanding of like Lara Croft's roots, which is nice. And like, supposedly, they're working on a new Tomb Raider. Who knows what that is and what it'll be? But like, I think it's the right way to approach a package like this. Like jazz it up a little bit, but make sure you keep the original games on there for those who want it.
I think it's nice to see so many games like that like when I was younger, like couldn't afford the console for, and then now it's like definitely can't afford the vintage console for, even though I have some money, but still no. To see them come back in a capacity that lets me at least play the story, because I think that's what I found is that like, especially reading a lot of like video games history books, you kind of think like, oh, that would have been nice if I could play that, but like there's no way for me to play that. Where it's like now it's nice to have that option. It's like obviously up to the people that played originally whether it's good or not, and then you don't really know because time has been long. Yeah. But
time has been long.
Time has been long. Yeah, I'm the great thinker these days, actually, in the podcast.
The new byline.
But yeah, it's nice for someone who didn't have everything as a kid now to have everything. That sounds really grim, but I had everything. But anyway, all this to say, it's nice.
It's nice.
Yeah, full stop.
But yeah, cool. So I from developer Aspire, who does a lot of ports and things like that. So it's like a good job. I think this is solid. I guess I am a little spoiled lately with other collections of like having more historical documentation and stuff on them and like behind the scenes on the development. This doesn't really have a lot of that, but to have the games proper is very nice. A couple other games I want to talk about. There's a demo as far as Steam Next Fest for Crow Country, which comes from the developers of Snipper Clips of all people. Like, but it's Charles, don't get excited. It's almost like completely irrelevant because it's like. It has like nothing. It's not a co-op game. It's not like a puzzle game. It is like a scary Silent Hill inspired throwback like game.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah, that's how I felt about it when I first saw the footage of it.
I guess I'm gasping more of joy because I just like that the Snipper Clips devs made that. So if they made something new, I'm like, I mean, you made Snipper Clips. So it's like if someone's like a really good baker and they're like, I'm making steak tonight, and I'm like, I trust you, man.
Yeah,
like,
they have
you know what you're doing in the kitchen
as well. It's like a mystery graphic novel kind of thing. That's getting a sequel too. So it's funny, after Snipper Clips, they're like going all in on like murder stories or like scary stuff.
Time out, real quick. Did they do Tangle Tower? I just clicked on the developer, and I don't think I'm seeing. Oh my gosh, dude! I love that game. The Mermaid's Tongue is.
Let's see, just to double check. I don't want to, because like they're SFB, right? SFB games.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Mermaid's Tongue. Oh my
gosh.
Yeah. And Tangle Tower.
Oh, I'm so down, dude. Tangle Tower is like. If someone played Phoenix Wright, the Ace Attorney games, like, what if this was like sick as hell? Okay, sorry. I like the Ace Attorney games. I like the Ace Attorney games so much. There's stuff in this where it's clear that someone played those and like, I want to make my own version. I'm gonna improve some stuff. That's how I feel about it. I feel like it does really well. So
hey,
sorry, I totally derailed you, but I'm down with Crow Country.
Tangle Tower. Cool. Is that like an M-rated game? Is that like super violent?
No.
Okay, cool. I'm always on the lookout for Phoenix Wright likes for my daughter, because she really likes those.
Oh,
games,
it's perfect. It's on Apple Arcade. It's like
buying that for her this afternoon.
It's like it's a fully voiced murder mystery. It's got like a great cartoon art style.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful, great game.
Oh my gosh!
Cool.
I just looked up the art for Crow Country. That looks so cool.
Yeah, I mean,
cool
this all
style.
started with Crow Country, but it's like it's a PS1 throwback. It's got this weird pixelated kind of look. The character models are like, the way I would describe them is like there was an era, like a Final Fantasy VII original era, where they were like, we can't really get that close to humans yet, but we're like we're close to it.
These are shapes.
Yeah, and that's like, because she is made up, the protagonist is like made up of a series of like spheres. I don't know, it's weird but I played the demo and I was really intrigued by it. It's very Signalis, which came out a year or two ago, which is like it's very Silent Hill. You're walking around a creepy environment, picking up things to like solve puzzles in a different room, and you're checking all the doors to see which one is locked. And it's like a locked overhead camera view. And then I don't know if I'm going to do it justice, but when you're shooting, you like, pull up your gun, and unlike Resident Evil or Silent Hill, where you don't really have a lot of control, right? You're just sort of like shooting. You have full like control over your cursor, like with your analog stick, so you can get like headshots and stuff like that, and it feels really good. And there's a demo for it, and I was really impressed with it, just like the mood and the look of it and the throwback nature of it. But it like the sort of shooting feels modern and good, and you're exploring like a haunted amusement park, which is kind of the hook of it all. And I believe it actually has a proper release date, or maybe not. But I think it is this year. Like I don't think it's too far off. But if you like Signalis, if you like sort of throwback horror games, Silent Hill 1 specifically.
If you played Metal Gear Solid Collection and you're like, I love PlayStation 1 games now.
If you love Metal Gear Solid 1 but just wish it were scarier, Crow Country. I'm really looking forward to that one. And now I didn't realize we had the biggest SFB games fan on the podcast.
Apparently.
Yeah. What were the other? And then a couple others that I wanted to talk about briefly. Pepper Grinder, which has a demo that I think is actually weirdly like not connected to Steam Next Fest. That's just semantics. There's a demo for Pepper Grinder. It's this game where you pick up a drill. And then the way it works is like, if you think of Rayman Origins or Rayman Legends swimming, which is like some of the best 2D swimming in games, where it's like you just have this really smooth control and a rhythm. That's that's what Pepper Grinder feels like, but you're moving through the ground. And then you can launch yourself from the ground. It seems, I only played like 2 or 3 levels in the demo, but it feels like that kind of 2D pixelated platformer that I really like. that is like, you know, maybe like Iconoclasts or something like that. I don't know if you guys played that game, and I love that game. It looks great. It plays great. It's from publisher Devolver, who have kind of earned a reputation of like, this is probably going to be pretty solid. You know, keep an eye on it if you like 2D pixelated platformers.
I can't remember. I don't know if it was showing at Gamescom last year or whether I was just talking about it with people around the event. But I think from the people that I know have played, they really enjoyed it and they thought it was like really quite cool. And it's kind of like one of those just kind of like gets under your skin, you want to play kind of games, which seems like looks really good.
Yeah, I like what I played. It felt good, right? That's always sort of the big question with those. And then the last game I want to talk about before I throw it to Charles to talk about a couple of little games in this sort of same way is Helskate, which I believe is in early access by the time this episode airs, and it is a like heavily Tony Hawk inspired skateboarding game with like some roguelike elements. You're trying to sort of escape from hell, which amounts to playing like Tony Hawk sized levels, but also doing combat with like demons and stuff like that. And then you'll unlock tricks that will like shoot fireballs. So like if you do like a nose grind, it'll like shoot a fireball at your enemies.
Oh, that's awesome.
And which is like all conceptually very cool. And the thing that always scares me with skateboarding games is like there was like this sort of, there's been in the last couple of years this like sort of explosion of them sort of reemerging. I feel like I've seen a lot of them, but there are a number that I pick up and play and I'm like immediately turned off because it just doesn't quite feel right. And Helskate, maybe to a fault, is the closest to Tony Hawk. Like its director was a designer on Tony Hawk Underground, so there's like some overlap there. But like even, you know, all the tricks are mapped to the same buttons. Like we did a new gameplay today episode of it with Blake Hester here at Game Informer, who's like a huge Tony Hawk fan, and he was like calling out the tricks. He's like, if you do up and X, that's a kickflip. And I was like, yeah, they all are like 1-to-1, which maybe holds it back a little bit towards finding its own identity, but at the same time, it is like the skateboarding game that's not called Tony Hawk in recent memory that has most immediately clicked with me and felt right. Maybe because it's so familiar. Like maybe this is a knock against the game, but like from my perspective, I'm like, I just kind of want something that feels like Tony Hawk, and this feels like Tony Hawk with some extra additional cool new ideas on it. So but it is very much an early access game. It feels a little smudgy in that way. I don't think they're going to be releasing it for like proper 1.0 for a while. But I like what I played. Like if you like Tony Hawk and you want sort of a callback Tony Hawk game, because we had the remake a couple years ago, but that's been it for a while. Helskate, take a look at it. 1L Helskate. And that does it. That does it for me for my sort of quick hit games. Charles, do you want to tell me a little bit about it's called Project O.R.C.S, right?
Project O.R.C.S. I believe it's online role-playing cooperative storytelling. Let me check my work real quick.
O.R.C.S is an acronym. We all wait in silence as Charles peruses the internet.
Online role-playing with collaborative storytelling.
There we go. So that's a good thing we checked.
Well, it is really cool. So I played this game with the developers. Kyle. I talked a little about Dungeons & Dragons earlier off the podcast.
Yeah. And how much
have you ever played?
How much I hate it.
How much you hate it.
Really
have
scathing.
You played? It's kind of like if Metal Gear Solid had
I'm
dice,
listening
you know?
now.
I can't believe I just snorted.
Have you ever played it though, Kyle?
Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah.
That thing from Stranger Things?
No, Metal Gear Solid. Have you
Metal Gear Solid. Let me tell you about the good word of Metal Gear Solid. No, Charles, I've never sat down and played a proper sort of Dungeons and Dragons. I see the appeal,
Sarah,
but it's not something I've played myself.
Long-time player, long-time dyer within game as well.
Oh, sick. Okay. So, Kyle, I mentioned this because it feels a lot like you're actually playing Dungeons & Dragons. So, what Project O.R.C.S is you jump into like a session. Well, we had like one person was like the DM, so he was I think guide is the word they use in this game. And we had 3 people that were playing. and you're literally just going through this world together, and there's like a set of like quests and locations that you go through, but you are collectively deciding what the story you're going to tell is, and you're like role playing over the voice chat. And there's a moment really early on, we're all trying to get like starting to get comfortable. It was like I was, the journalist playing. There's a PR guy, and there was a developer, and then there was like a developer that was the guide, and they were all just kind of talking in abstract terms. And I was like, real quick, do you guys want to role play? Like, do we want to get serious? Because I'll do a character voice. And they were like, yeah, go for it. And I was like, okay, well, my name's Wilbur, and I'm so nervous, and this is gonna be a great time. Probably not. And no one else committed as hard as I did, but I could tell they were very excited, and it felt a lot like the muscle of playing Dungeons & Dragons, what that was. So what we did is there's like a hub town, and for the purpose of the demo.
Real quick, Charles, just to like pause you before you get too deep down the rabbit hole. Like, there's a visual element to all this, right? Like, you're
Correct.
looking at like rendered characters and that kind of thing on screen together.
Yeah.
Okay.
So picture. I'm using Baldur's Gate as a comparison just because it's like a video game version of this, but it is like camera angle like Baldur's Gate. Just picture it a little more cartoony. The difference is that it's like they come with like pre-generated worlds, but you have the ability to customize stuff as you're playing the game. So I built a character. They had like a class with like certain abilities and stuff. I want to call it, should have written this down. I was basically like a ghost knight where I was like a sword fighter, but I had like ghost magic powers.
And you were nervous.
And and the way the game works is you'll go on a quest, and there's like multiple choice. You guys are collectively deciding what to do. So it was a thing of, I think it was like, are there cultists here or are there undead you're trying to figure out how to deal with? And we would vote for which one. So we voted cultists. And then when you load in, there's just like a little graveyard area. And he was like, all right, for a little bit, we're just going to take a minute and we're going to customize it. And everyone had like a bar on the side, and you could add in like trees and bushes or characters or structures. So I was like, well, my character's got these ghost powers, so I'm just going to make a few ghosts sitting around. And I would just make a character and then right click it and hit ghost, and then they'd be like spectral and stuff. And someone else was like, oh, I think there should be a tower here. Or someone was like, I'm going to make a giant rabbit nearby, and that's going to be a thing. So it was like a it's a digital space with all these items in it. And then we would start role-playing, and the guide was like our dungeon master, and we were like playing as our characters. And then it would basically be like, I guess to be clear, a lot of this is like the social boundary of a role-playing game. So like our characters were sat outside the graveyard. I could right-click inside the graveyard and walk in at any time. Like, there's nothing stopping me from moving around. We were just like, oh, well, the guards are there, so they wouldn't let you pass. And so that's why I didn't do it. So there is like, it's very much a like at the table, the digital table driven type of experience. It's just a little more guided, and you're making decisions together. And one of the things they were saying is they wanted to introduce people to like the idea of a role-playing game, but kind of get rid of some of the barriers that like a Dungeons and Dragons might have of like, I got to read all these rules, or I got to learn how to do all this stuff. And it's like, no, you can, here's a multiple choice test you can do. Here's like a set number of things you can place in this space.
So it simplifies things, and then also sort of gives you a visual sort of enactment of like what you guys are role-playing.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes. And then there would be things of, I don't know, one of our guys tried to sneak over the fence to hide in there. And he was like, okay, give me I don't know if it was like a sneak check, but there's stuff that's like similar to, skill checks in Dungeons and Dragons. And every time you roll, they're really excited about this boons and banes system, where if you roll high enough, it can be like, you succeed and something goes really well, or like you find a good item, and you get to choose like how your roll does well and like what that means. Or it's like, oh, you went really bad. Do you attract a lot of attention, or do you like lose health because you hurt yourself somehow? So it's a thing where like there's a lot of storytelling that if you're used to that game, you kind of do intuitively. And this game is like, I'm going to put it on paper. These are mechanics. If you want to take advantage of them, here's how you do it.
Nice.
So yeah, so we played a little demo, and it was a fun time, and I think they just announced the game, and it'll be going into early access too. But I'm excited to see them like flesh this out and add more character classes and to like physically see more of the game, because I feel like I did an okay job of describing it, but it is really a thing of like you do kind of need to sit down and experience it or watch someone play it to get like the full picture. But yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's.
I think role playing is. Oh, sorry, go.
No, I was just gonna sort of reiterate what you're saying of like it sounds like a tool, like the middle ground between like a creative tool and a video game, right? Like
Yeah, and I think my understanding is they are gonna have like a set like campaign structure, basically. Like you will be working towards a goal, and when we completed the thing, we got to like level up our hub town, and that like unlocks some stuff for you theoretically. But a lot of it could be it's very, very player driven.
Nice.
cool. Yeah, I know you're like you love Dungeons and Dragons and playing those tabletop games, and so you're this could be good for you, and you're sort of getting convincing people to play with, I guess, right?
Yeah, I do have there was a time where I was early in my relationship with my girlfriend. It was her 21st birthday, and we went wine tasting with her aunts. This is a long road to get to where I'm going. All this is to say, it was at the end of the day. We had all been drinking a fair amount, and one of her aunts was like, "So Charles, you really like Dungeons and Dragons, don't you? Why is that? What does it do for you?" And that like unlocked something within me. I was like, I just gotta tell the world how I feel about this game, why it means so much to me. So it is a thing of like, if I wasn't so into video games, I would be like full time. I don't know, Dungeons and Dragons,
whatever
something.
that job
I'd figure
is,
it out.
right?
But,
Yeah.
If I didn't have a job. Yeah.
I think you can hire people to be dungeon master for you, right?
Yeah, you could be a pro
There
DM.
definitely
I
has
don't know.
to be a service for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm good enough to be a professional. I just like it a lot. You know,
I'm
an
an
enthusiast.
I mean,
but
you just
not
did that amazing voice like
Yeah.
just a few minutes ago. You did your
There's been-
Mario
Did that.
audition.
I was gonna say two
Mario.
voices already.
Exactly.
Yeah, I did have a character named Fibblestib. That was just Toad. You just steal voices from existing people. Classic.
It's like the commitment. Once you start the voice, you then have to do it. Like if you have like a year-long campaign, you're like 365 days deep, and you're like, I can't keep doing this every day. I can't show up on the weekend and like do this voice.
I don't know how to do this voice and come to like an emotional conclusion of a story arc. No, mother. Yeah.
Maybe the last. I think the last game we'll talk about today, Charles. You had a chance to take a look at Nightingale, which
yes.
to me has always been like the umbrella game. Is that like a fair? I mean, I know there's a lot more to it than that, but that's the one. If you're like, what's Nightingale? You can be like, yeah, you like hold an umbrella and you float around, right? Or am I? Charles is giving me a look like I'm conflating things and I have the wrong game.
There are umbrellas. I was gonna say I never thought of it that way, but I think that's a pretty apt way of the umbrella's really symbolic for a lot of stuff that Nightingale tries to do.
It was revealed at like a game like a summer game fest.
I think it was Game
Awards. Game Awards, and that's just the thing that stuck out to me from the trailer. But you got to see more than that.
Yes. So Nightingale is a online multiplayer survival game, and the world is very interesting. So it's in this alternate timeline where right around like the age of exploration in the like 15, 16, 1700s, humans learned there's actually a fairy world, like the Feywilds. It's like just a mystical land in which like fairies and monsters and all this magical stuff is real. And they made contact with humans. And then a few like 100 years later after that, I can't remember all the details of it, but there's basically some like cataclysmic event and people flee into this alternate world to try to get away and then end up being stuck in there. So you start off the game like you've just become stranded in this alternate world. But there's a lot of like cool world building stuff of like it takes place in this like Victorian era, Kyle, which is why I think umbrellas are such a thing, where it's like they're not a necessary tool and honestly not like the most practical thing in the survival game, but it's like a floating thing that you can get in the game. And all the fashion is very like Victorian and just of that specific era. Another thing they do is they fuse like history with fiction. So in the game, they were saying like Victor Frankenstein is a real person. And the
Okay.
book Frankenstein exists. It was just written about all the stuff he did.
Oh, that's
Weird.
cool.
Okay.
So he's a real dude, and that's just like a thing. And he's like a character. I never interacted with him, but he'll like give you stuff. He's like a story character.
Yeah.
They had a bunch of other instances of like, historical figures that are like, this is how they know the fairies, or like fictional characters that were like, this is how we're like this. There's a lot of references to Midsummer Night's Dream, and all those fairies and stuff.
Okay.
So yeah.
But the game, and it's a survival game. I mean, are you punching trees to get
Yeah.
wood? Is it like, is that what you're doing in the game?
Oh, you're punching trees together.
Oh, okay. All right. All right.
Actually, I don't know if maybe you can. I don't know if I actually punched a tree. Now
Is
that
there,
I'm
like,
thinking about it,
Tools?
there are tools. I think I gathered sticks, made an axe, and then chopped at the tree.
Oh, okay.
But maybe you can punch the tree. I just don't think I tried that.
Okay. And that, I know that sounds dismissive. That's like simplifying it. Often that's just happens to be the first thing you do in survival games.
Yeah.
Like I played
That's
Pal
true,
World.
actually.
I played Pal World, and I was like, oh, I'm punching trees in this game. Okay, I didn't realize that's what I was getting myself into. But
I know if I'm ever stranded in a survival situation, I'm just gonna start punching a maple.
what else?
It's
and then
like-
things will be okay.
You know when they ask you, like, what would you take on a stranded island? I would take a tree to punch, personally.
I would take these hands.
Yeah.
And I would
I want a tree in my fists, and I'm good. I've played Minecraft.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
But I mean, what
Um,
being shown, because you were part of like a showcase for it. Are you intrigued? Like, did it get your attention, or Nightingale in general?
Yeah, I didn't get to spend that much time with it, which was more on me. Like, they gave us plenty of time. I just had a lot of stuff going on. I played like an hour or two, and I basically was just doing all those like beginner survival stuff
Sure.
of like, I made a wooden axe, and then I made a stone axe that was a little bit better, and I made like a little house. But one of the things they mentioned that I thought was really cool is they have this like kind of like tarot card system where they have cards that you can use on these like portal generators that basically can change the world that you're in. So if you're in like a forest biome and you're like, oh, I really need to kill this animal because that's how I can get this, specific tool, you can go and put like the swamp card in your generator and it'll like generate you a swamp world. And
Okay.
you can go and do that. And then you can add, there's like major cards like that change the whole biome, and then there's minor stuff of like, and this is like happy enemies where it's like, actually instead of wolves, there's going to be like nice bunnies and stuff. You're not going to have to worry about hostile enemies and stuff. That's just an example. I don't know if that's actually a card. There's a lot of like modifiers you can do. So that to me is one of the most interesting things. I just like the idea of being like, I want a new thing. I'm going to create a new world to explore, basically. And yeah, it seems cool. It's also a thing of they've got like a long like roadmap planned out of like they're ready for people to come in to do early access. They want people to be playing this game for a long time. One of the things they talk about is games as a space, which I thought was really interesting. Of like, you and your friends don't go to the mall anymore. You go to Destiny 2 or you go to Fortnite.
Oh, sure.
They're like, Nightingale is gonna have enough stuff that they want it to be like a place. And I was like, what a goal to have.
That's so nice.
Interesting philosophy.
Cool.
I think especially when you like live so far from everybody, like a lot of my friends,
Yeah.
like I mean different countries and everything. So I think that is like a fair place. Like you want a game that's gonna be, for everybody to hang out.
Yeah, and I like that it's like we're taking steps to do this, not just like we're gonna make a big looter shooter and hope everyone plays it all the time forever, and then they'll give us money. It was more like, no,
you can say
what are these
Suicide
people
Squad.
gonna want to do here?
That's nice.
Yeah.
I didn't say it, Kyle.
I didn't say it either. I said you could.
Mhm.
Well, I think that. So we got a couple. I'll do some housekeeping, and then we'll close out with what I think is going to be a new recurring segment. of the Game Informer
I
show.
completely forgot we were doing
No,
this.
I never forget. Yeah, no questions this week, but we'll get back to those soon. Some housekeeping. Always a good reminder. You can buy single issues of physical Game Informer magazines. GameStop.com/Game Informer. Issues are $7.99. Yep, Charles is holding up the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth issue, which is up there. So you can get that Rebirth issue, which was an awesome cover. And Apex will be up there soon. If
Put
it's
that
not
away.
yet. Yeah.
Too hot.
Sephiroth is on fire. Oh my gosh.
And then, of course, follow us on all our social media platforms, Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it these days, Blue Sky, Threads. I put stuff up there. That's me posting those things. I'm doing it. TikTok. You can find us on TikTok and twitch.tv/Game Informer. We play... the thing we do consistently is replay. Every Friday afternoon, Marcus Stewart and I right now are playing Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. I love that game. I've played it a few times. Marcus is playing it for the first time. That's been a blast. And you know what, guys, you'll never guess what we played last week. I'll give you one guess. It wasn't Majora's Mask, but it was another M game.
Was it Crow Country?
Yeah,
No.
maybe Mario though. Maybe
No, guys, it was
yeah.
Metal Gear Solid.
What? Kyle, you like Metal Gear Solid?
I didn't think you were into that kind of like game. I just really felt like it was like, yeah.
It's basically my personality. But no, we jumped into the middle of Alex's game and happened to play like genuinely like maybe the best hour of that game. Like it wasn't planned that way, but a lot of cool stuff happens over the course of that hour. So you can check that out. That's the most recent episode of Replay. Yeah, and then, of course, listen to our other sort of podcast from Brian Shea, All Things Nintendo. And shout out to Matt, a.k.a. DJ Stormageddon, who does the Fun and Games and Reignite podcast. They edit this thing. If you're listening to this, it's because they edited it. And you can also check out Game Informer's Discord channel. When we do questions on the podcast, that is typically where we pull them from. And the way that you get into that is you subscribe to our Twitch channel. You just need to subscribe once, and we'll let you into our Discord channel. And we pop in there and share things and talk about things and take podcast questions. So, hey, I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. All right, final segment, new segment, a recurring segment, I think. For when Charles Harte. I've started a few recurring segments, and they've only ever been like a single thing. So,
Okay.
But this one I'm really committed to because we have a lot of content ready to go.
We
And by
have
I
at
mean
least 6
Charles
pieces of content.
exclusively. But this is, of course, the lunch break, like a dance break, but with lunch, and then parentheses working title. That's what this whole segment is called. Charles, do you want to set this up, or do you want me to set this up? Sarah has no idea what's going on.
I was gonna say.
I'm just happy to be here, quite frankly.
Let me explain it. So I am a type of person. I don't like to do the same thing over and over again. I just get bored. So I like to spice it up. Like just now, you saw with the Game Informer magazine. I've never fanned my face because it's been so hot before. I'm just goofy, silly like that. So at one point when clocking out for lunch, I wrote a little parody song, and it was to the tune of "Come On Eileen," and it was lunchtime for me, grabbing something to eat like a sandwich. We will have to see. That was the first one, and
so it started it all.
Did you post that on Twitter? Because I actually feel like I remember this.
Maybe
I did actually.
Yeah.
I saved a bunch of screenshots of it. Of those,
Yeah.
I still do that every time I go to
Yeah,
lunch.
they're
Today,
just written, right? Like you just write out, hey, here's
Yeah.
today's lunch parody song, which we all look forward
I
to.
sing them to myself, to be clear.
Oh, good.
Because I have to make sure all the syllables and the lyrics line up.
Yeah.
Today I did Sunflower by Post Malone, and it was some flour when you're baking a pie crust.
But you made a whole pie for lunch?
It's Kyle, they're not usually
Oh,
autobiographical.
okay. I mean, but often they are, though, right?
Maybe 5% of the time it's what I'm actually doing.
This breaks my whole understanding of your lunch stuff.
It was
It's
all a
way-
lie?
I've done like 100 of
Yeah,
these,
yeah.
but some of them I've recorded actual songs for. And Kyle is like, we gotta show this to someone because it's
Yeah.
weird that we're just dropping it in this hole and some
They
people
can't just
are saying
exist
that's
on our
funny.
Slack channel for just 8 people. Like, that's not enough.
Right. So I guess we're gonna do the first one today.
Yeah.
It's a parody of a Bo Burnham song, WTF IGO. And can I, or do I just have to mark it's what the F is going on is what the song is.
Great song. Yeah.
Great song. Bo Burnham's great. Good guy.
Yeah. But yeah, I love Charles when you go the extra step. This is not me encouraging you to do extra work, by the way. Please don't overburden yourself. But I do.
No one has ever asked me to do this.
This is not an assignment.
So,
but I'm always excited when I see a little media file show up, and you're like, "Here's today's lunch song." And I'm like, "All right, let's see what this thing is," and we're gonna start playing them on the podcast. We're gonna share these with the world, and we're gonna do whenever Charles is on. I think we'll do one, and we've got a backlog, and we're just gonna do one today. Did you have a name for this parody specifically?
I didn't really name it. It was about the concept is that feeling when you want a snack but you want it to be spicy.
Right.
You want a spicy snack.
Okay.
Nice.
The song is.
All right, everybody ready?
Relatable.
Oh, sorry, sir. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Oh, I was just saying relatable.
Oh, okay. All right. So hopefully I have it set up, I think, so you guys can hear it, and we'll listen to it. All right, here we go. This is again the segment, the lunch break : like a dance break but with lunch. Parentheses working title. All right, here we go.
I'm gonna be snacking, I'm gonna be snacking, I'm gonna be eating something hot, gonna be eating something hot. I'm gonna be snacking, I'm gonna be snacking, I'm gonna be eating something hot, gonna be
The production value of this is like,
I'm gonna be snacking, I'm gonna be
Charles is giving us for free to just a small Slack channel.
song of the summer. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
Spicy Cheeto. I wanna eat something hot. 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 I wanna eat something hot.
Incredible work, Charles. Just
Thank
stunning.
you.
Stunning.
Whoa.
Oh, I messed up my stream. Oh no, this looks so
Fell out of the
strange with the
template.
video version. What am I doing? Okay.
Maybe this is how the show
This is
ends.
how the
In
show
disarray.
Just cut it. Yeah, like
But Charles, just stellar work. Hopefully, my only
Thank
fear
you.
is that YouTube flags us as like, that's the original song. You can't just be sharing that. But
it's transformative.
it's, I mean, it is
It's
proper
transformative.
parody, but YouTube.
Yeah.
Is,
I did I downloaded like a karaoke version, so I didn't do all the instruments and stuff.
Oh, okay.
but no, I love it.
But-
yeah, and Charles
That was
has,
amazing.
Charles has a bunch of these.
Thank
Like, well, it's that's not just the first one. But
I
the
like-
one. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just like, when's the EP dropping? Like, when enough have been like launched on the show.
yeah.
So the one thing I'll say is I am planning, Kyle, a pretty elaborate one for my 1-year lunch song anniversary, which is in
Okay.
March.
All right. Well, hey, stay
so
tuned
that'll
for the
probably
podcast.
that'll be on
you know?
here, yeah.
Because previously, the only way to hear it was to become employed at Game Informer and be a part of the Slack channel. Or I guess probably know
Exactly.
Charles personally. I'm sure you share it with other people. But
I showed it to my brother.
so you
And
either
the
you
one-
either get
DMs.
employed at Game Informer, or you're Charles's brothers. Those are previously those were the only ways
Or
to hear
you're
the song.
Andre Harte.
Fingers crossed for the second one for me.
I was gonna say the one I probably did, it was like most effort to littlest reward, but I was like, I have to do this. I kept getting sick over the winter,
Oh, right,
but I had
yeah.
the idea for so long that I had to do 12 Days of Christmas, but like lunch food song themed. And I think the day I did it, I don't know if anyone was in. I don't even remember. I think I dropped it in when like everyone else was on vacation. But it was like a matter of principle for me of like, I told myself I would do
Well, hey,
this.
maybe next time you're on, maybe next week if you're on next week, we'll play that one specifically.
I teased it, so it's
There you go. Cool. Well, hey, that's the Game Informer Show podcast this week. Thanks for being on, Sarah. I really appreciate it.
yeah.
Thank you for having me. Thank you
Yeah.
for talking about only Metal Gear Solid for the whole time.
Have you played Metal Gear Solid, Sarah?
No, the funniest thing,
Okay.
not to sidetrack quickly, but my partner literally, like the other night, randomly was like, "Can I explain the entire plot of Metal Gear Solid from one to current?" And I listened to it. It was like an hour and a half. It was actually very good, to be fair. Fair play to them. So I
fascinating.
do understand it, but I haven't played them yet.
Yeah. Well, I think the first one's like 10 hours. It's not very long, but all things considered. But
I definitely should.
It's great. And according to Alex, it holds up okay. I don't know if you feel the same, Charles, but it holds up pretty well, right? Maybe.
I really like.
I'm gonna
the
cut your
spirit
feet if
of
you
it.
say anything different. Just so you know.
Some of the dialogue and the characterization of women, I'm like,
that's a
this
good
is
point.
too-
Yes. Yeah.
This is not great.
Yeah.
Just the lines and the amount of times he talks about Meryl's butt. I'm like, you can calm down,
Is it
Solid Snake.
weird?
There's other things going on.
But God, I do not want to defend those elements of the game at all. But it is kind of a plot point.
it
Wait, the
is a
butt?
plot
yeah,
point.
it's a plot
Wait, what?
point.
So
Okay, no, I don't remember that coming up in the
she's-
chat I had.
She's disguised as a soldier,
Yeah.
and there's a whole like puzzle where you identify it's her because of her like feminine stride.
yeah.
Because Snake keeps talking about it, but she does her kind of like
She
how
walks
you
differently
animate
than the male
girls
soldiers,
Yeah.
and
in the
that's how you
90s.
identify her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, perfect
And
game.
then you follow her.
Always gonna be perfect forever.
Yeah.
No, but I do love those games, and I'm sorry I keep talking about it. But I want to do, when you finish one, Charles, will do a
Yes.
spoiled on it, which will be fun for me and hopefully you. But yeah, thanks for tuning in this week. Thanks to Alex, who had to duck out early, and Charles, of course. And yeah, we'll have a Helldivers 2 review on the site from Sarah pretty soon, I think. Right? That's the plan?
Yeah, it should be very soon.
Cool. Well, thanks for
Yeah.
tuning in, everybody, and we will be back next week. See ya.
Bye.